we need to focus in right now. I'm calling street level. This is a dangerous, dangerous situation. Clayton, Englewood, in your safe spot now. There is a large tornado that has been confirmed on the ground. We're talking near Air Hill. This is near Westbrook Road, Clayton. This is going to be lifting to the east. Well, this is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and put this on a track for you. A very, very dangerous situation happening now in our viewing area. This is an extremely tight rotation. We have several tornado warnings that are ongoing in the Miami Valley, and I'm going to just pop up really quickly up to these other areas. I don't want to forget about you. West Liberty, you still need to be in your safe spot. Zane, you still need to be in your safe spot as well. We have 2 circulations that are overhead. We still have a tornado warning that is in effect for eastern parts of Allglaze County as this circulation is moving out of the area. But most importantly, we have 2 circulations that we're keeping an eye on. One that's south of Troy, likely tightening up here. This is moving along over State Route 202. And we have a new tornado warning that's been issued for that. You can see just to the west of Salina, there is a clear rotation that's just north of Vrydaghs2 that is moving to the north and east towards Salina. And we'll have to go ahead and put radar on because sometimes it can be difficult to get that rotation to really match up with our radar. So it's a mess, really. Looking at our radar scans, it's hard to tell exactly where that rotation is. So I would say Salina up towards, let's zoom in very closely here, up towards Shively, up towards Mendon, Neptune. This rotating part of this thunderstorm is moving to the east, northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So this is what Sean has been talking about, and it looks as though a bomb went off. You can just see the debris that is down this roadway with this storm system that came through. And Cheryl and I were on air, and I told you about a debris signature that had occurred in Salina, and this was what I was worried about happening, and that I had called out at that point that there was a tornado on the ground. And unfortunately, this is the devastation that has been left behind. You can see there are a couple people there that are walking through the debris. Somewhat of a scary and dangerous situation. If you know anybody that lives up in and around this area, you know, just try and find a safe place to go at this point. Ask some emergency personnel to try and get some help because this can be very dangerous to just be walking through. Yeah, unfortunately, we are dealing with some storms right now coming through this part of Brookville, and it was a race against time to make sure that these homes were covered up from any rain or any storms coming in since Monday, really. Just take a look at the damage off to my left-hand side. This house was destroyed by what would eventually be determined an EF4 twister that came through this part of Montgomery County. Well, I'm on Foothill Drive in Brookville, and the damage is similar to what I've seen along the path of what is been determined that EF4 twister. And I was able to pull Mike Schindler out of his house to talk to him a little bit about what happened and how the community is rising up. And one interesting thing that you were telling me about was after the twister came through, it was hard for even the garbage trucks to get in here. But he also told us that the police department in Brookville was out at the edge of the residence here, keeping the community safe. And I actually got Police Chief Doug Jerome here to talk about what you guys have been doing to keep this part of Brookville safe and pretty much the whole city as a whole. I wanted to show you this little interesting thing. Take a look at this welcome sign, how weak it is in the ground. Believe it or not, a tornado came through. This was untouched, but the barn demolished. It actually was pushed off of the slab that it was sitting on. You can see pieces of wood and debris picked up, thrown back, and all of this is destroyed. The twister continued into the back side of the barn that's on the other side of that truck there. I showed you that at 5:30 where the whole right side of the barn was torn off. There's hay bales inside that were untouched, but the whole siding of that barn was thrown back into the cornfields behind it. And when that storm moved through, I was a little concerned that we were going to see a tornado occurring in Clark County. Just take a look at this video footage that we have. This is from Sky 7 drone as it flew over this part of Clark County. This is where that Rose Garden Mobile Home Park is situated near Upper Valley Pike. And there's the mobile home that was damaged by that EF0 tornado as it came through. And you may not know this about me. I actually lived in a mobile home about 5 to 6 years ago, and I know exactly how these structures are put together, and there is not much in the strength of winds that could actually peel something like this apart. Some indications that a tornado actually occurred is the fact that the debris itself was picked up, as Kate showed you in her live shot, and was lofted up into the trees and beyond the tree line. Here are the statistics that we're getting from the National Weather Service right now. This is preliminary, so this could potentially change as they're finishing up their survey. Winds of 70 miles an hour estimated, and it was likely on the ground for about 2.7 miles, and the width of the tornado itself was about 80 yards across. When you're talking about the Fujita scale and what that means, an EF0 is on the lowest end of categories. You have to have winds of at least 65 miles an hour up to about 85. That's going to give you that light damage, and with mobile homes, it doesn't take much to peel them apart, as I mentioned. EF1, you're talking about winds of 86 miles an hour up to 110, and once you start talking about winds greater than that, considerable damage to severe, devastating, and incredible. I had a few people coming up to me today saying Clark County seems to have had a lot of tornadoes recently. In fact, this would make the third in just 3 days. I'm combing through data, and I'm putting together a graphic for you that I'm going to show at 6 o'clock that shows all of the tornadoes that have happened in Clark County, and wait till you see just how close all of those paths come together. And a lot of us have been waiting and asking, when is the snow going to get here? When is this winter storm going to be here? And it arrived around 7, 8 o'clock. We saw those conditions really starting to head downhill. And you can see live Doppler 7 radar showing how extensive this snowfall is. We've got some deep blues now indicated on live Doppler 7 radar as we're scanning the skies every 60 seconds for you. We're the only TV station with our own radar, and it gives us the ability to give you real-time updates as we're here on air with you. And you can see that dark blue, that's the indication of that heavy snowfall. Snowfall ratios are increasing. The rates as well could see 1 to 2 inches per hour within that snow band. All that means is that that snow is coming down very quickly, and it's going to stack up quite fast. From Bell Fountain back into Sydney, south into Troy, we've got that steady, heavy snowfall. Still steady for you out in Springfield and Urbana. Starting to lighten up a little bit in northwestern Mercer County, which is good news considering you've already seen over 6 inches of snow at this point in time.